that were given today. Brother Prospect, all of the brothers who came up and so eloquently put so much information before us. It's a humbling experience to be able to even come up and speak to a group like this. Another thing I want to mention is brothers did a wonderful job, but the next one has to be all sisters. I got to see some sisters side, you know what I mean? So I'm excited about coming back for the sisterhood presentation. You know what I'm saying? No, sisters, y'all got to represent too. As my brother so eloquently put it, my name is Asaf Hagadol. I have been blessed to be able to travel home to Israel with a couple of brothers in the room who have been to Israel as well. And if you haven't been to the Holy Land, you gotta go. You'll never be the same going to Israel. That's true. When you step off the plane, you look around, you get back on the plane and come back, you'll be different. You won't be the same. I mean, the land is 7 dimensions. I mean, it's so much to take in. It can be a very overwhelming experience. And I remember when I first met the brothers and the sisters who were living in the land or had visited the land, and you would hear the testimony. You would hear them explain to you or try to explain to you what they experienced. And they would always say, well, you can't put it to words. And I'm thinking, well, you're doing a great job explaining it to me. But it's truly an experience beyond any other. You cannot conceptualize what it would be like just to visit. So at this late hour, I would like to move forward with a presentation with some information that's out of my book, Israel, History and Destiny. I want to focus on our prophetic reality, our prophetic reality, and to kind of put the capstone on a lot of the information that was presented early. However, I want to address a particular issue or subject matter of our history, and I want to give us a different perspective of it. Right. And that particular perspective and that particular subject matter is the captivity. Okay. What I want us to do is I want us to consider for a minute. We hear a lot about what's going on in the world, and we think about our history. But how many of us, being honest, feel kind of insignificant in the greater scheme of world events today? I mean, let's just be honest. When you think about your life and all the things you have going on and the things that's affecting you, I mean, you think about all the things that's happening. Russia at war with the U.S. and, China's had a trade war and, all of these things that's happening around the world. What does that have to do with me? And that's one of the things that I tend to see happen in a lot of our gatherings. We get a ton of information. It's a great conversation. But when we go home, we're dealing with, kids. Bills. What am I going to eat tonight? Right. Cell phone bill due. That's right. I got a flat tire. I have to be to work in the morning. So all that stuff Prospect said, what the heck has to do with me? Yeah, some nice tablets, but that's not helping me eat at home. So what I want to do is I want to start off by giving us a perspective of this particular subject in hopes that it will show us just how significant we are. And now that's not just some, Black History Month, Black Power, yeah, you are somebody. I mean, you all in this room literally have within your grasp the opportunity to shift global events. Now that's heavy. But that's why what Prospect was talking about is so important. And it's not because you have to go read a book and know how to articulate these things and have good conversation. One of the things that Aniyam did was he helped us to understand the significance of culture. And culture is a word. Culture encompasses everything. And one of the things that Prospect brought out also about the significance of our language is that it communicates ideas that will give us a science. See, Hebrew is a science. Right. You understand? Hebrew it's a way. It's a way you do things. Methodology. It's a way you stand. It's a way you walk. It's a way you talk. It's a way you dress. It's the way you handle your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband, like yourself talked about. Yeah. But if we don't take time to understand how in the significance of application of the science, it's just a good conversation. Right. One of the things I think I'm going to do it because the Spirit is telling me to do it. I wanted to give an example. Prospect mentioned about context, right? I got this thing, mentioned in the book about contextual conceptualization, right? We have a lot of ideas that we've been given from birth or in the religions that we've all pursued, our different spiritual orientations. And we have these things in our minds, but they're totally out of context. All right? These concepts we have. And one of the examples I wanted to give was, let's say the Shabbat. How many people in here understand the significance of the Shabbat? Now, when you observe the Shabbat, do you understand? Okay, let me say this. If the Shabbat was presented to us in its full Hebrew idea, and we really as a people understand the significance of the Shabbat, let me give you an example of how something as what some would call when you celebrate the Shabbat, you observe, you acknowledge it's the seventh day on the calendar, and then you have all these various different ideas of when the Shabbat is and the approach to the Shabbat. But the Shabbat itself is a science that has an end result in the very survival and expansion and social, economic, and political development of an entire people. Let me give you an example. We have a brother that heads the Ghan Foundation in Chicago, and he published a study called the Mona Protocol. Now, if anybody's familiar with climate change and what's going on, they had a convention years back called the Kyoto Protocol in Japan, when all of the industrial nations had to limit their carbon emissions to so much in order for the Earth to survive. Well, he did a study demonstrating, okay, anybody who know what a carbon sink is? A carbon sink, like the rainforest. You know what a carbon sink is? Okay, what it is it's a cluster of trees that will absorb the extra carbon that's emitted into the atmosphere. Now, in Israel, on the Shabbat, we were taught that we don't drive. We don't use electricity. We don't do any of those things. So if you think about a group of people, 5,000 in Israel, tens of thousands around the world, other places, just not using those tools on one day a week and multiply that by 40 years, could you imagine the impact that has had on the planet? So his protocol has actually demonstrated how just by us doing that on the Shabbat have offset the CO2 of the whole planet. Meaning that if everybody who is observing the Shabbat in that way decided that they were not going to be obedient to the call, the planet would probably already be extinct. Nobody called that. But it's a science for survival. So I want to move on, and I want to put these concepts into proper context for us. Read this, please. We want to pay attention to the highlight part. We're not going to do as much reading, but I want to get through these slides because I have some points that I want to bring out. How's everybody feeling? That's good.
Awesome. It is reading from a document entitled by Fanti Ricciami in 1552. He was a Jesuit missionary who introduced Christianity to China.
Okay.
And he clearly stated that it often happens that those who live at a later time are unable to grasp the point at which great undertakings or actions of their world had their origin.
Okay, so when things occur on the planet, those of us later looking back on all of these great significant events, it's real challenging for us to understand how did they begin. Okay, read.
And I, constantly seeking to reason for this phenomena, could find no other answer than this. Namely, all things, including those that at last come to triumph extraordinarily, are at their beginning so small and faint in outline that one cannot easily convince himself that from them shall arise matters of grace.
So, considering that his objective when he introduced Christianity to China, there are millions of Christians in China today. One man. You follow me? We have a problem which is considered a phenomenon that it's hard for us to conceptualize the greatness that we're capable of because they always start with humble, small beginnings.
Right.
Oh, this is not going to work. It's not going to be great. So many times as a people, we start on projects, we start on things, and we don't finish because we don't understand the impact. All right? Read on. Now, here's the first concept. I got some vocabulary words for those who are taking notes and want to continue on. Now, this is the first term. The term is Terra nullius. Okay, everybody familiar with Terra nullius? If not, let's read it. That's the first vocabulary word. Read.
Terra nullius is a Latin expression deriving from Roman law, which means nobody's land. The land that belongs to no one. It is used in international law to describe territory which has never been subject to the sovereignty of any state.
Okay, that's the key word, sovereignty. Read.
Or over which any prior sovereign has expressly or implicitly relinquished his sovereignty.
Okay, continue.
Sovereignty over territory, which is called terra nullius, may be acquired through occupation. Terra nullius is derived from the 1095 papal bull, known as terra nullius, by Pope Urban II.
Listen to this.
And this papal bull allowed Christian European states to claim land inhabited by non-Christians.
So if any, it's often talked about amongst conscious communities that we have this thing where we look upon Eurocentric concepts and ideas with a level of disdain, rightfully so, but we tend to shift the blame to them. Okay? And I used to ask my question, well, why is it that some Europeans, those who are well learned, why are they so confident or almost arrogant about the way they move?
Right.
Even those who didn't necessarily participate in the plundering, they still benefit greatly from
Right.
what happened.
Yeah.
You could talk all the black talk, African talk, whatever you want to them, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
All right, and there's a reason for that. This term demonstrates for us, and I want us to really kind of wrap our minds around the way that they have been thinking, and there's a reason for it. Terra nullius is a whole concept and perspective that whatever land is not occupied by anyone can just be taken over. But wait, the entire planet is covered with people.
Right.
When they arrived to America, there were civilizations, plural, already here.
Right.
They arrived on the shores, plant my flag, this is ours.
Mine. Right.
Now, what gave them the audacity to even move that way? That's a serious way of thinking, right? Just out of the blue, some Europeans, hey, we're going to dominate, this is our land. 700-800 billion people don't no longer exist. We're going to implement our reality here. We're going to impose. I'm going to come in this building and tell all of y'all, hey, look, I'll run this. RPG, that's mine.
Right.
These persons, what? Let's get anybody here now.
Right.
So how is it that these, not only the audacity of the thinking, but they succeeded? How did they succeed at accomplishing such a magnanimous task? Let's keep going.
Starting in the 17th century, terra nullius denoted.
Wait, what other events happened? What significant major world changing event happened in the 17th or late 1600s, 17th century? What? Exactly. Keep going.
Terra nullius denoted a legal concept.
Oh, they made it a law. Go ahead.
Allowing a European colonial power to take control of quote-unquote empty territory.
No one's here. Go ahead.
Empty because none of the other European colonial powers had claimed it.
Okay. Now drop down to the meaning.
The meaning of terra nullius grew to include territories that were considered devoid of civilized outsiders.
Well, let's focus on it. They arrived and said, these people are untrained savages. Right. Now, were they? Of course not. We just reviewed history.
Right.
We done things. We had lights back millennia ago. So what made them say, this is uncivilized people, we're going to just take over and insert our own point of view in this country and succeed? They did it. Continue.
The United States seems to have treated its western frontier as terra nullius in the rush to fulfill its perceived manifest
destiny. That's the second term. Manifest destiny. Now, of course, I think you would say that, your destiny made manifest, but manifest destiny. Read the definition of manifest destiny.
Manifest destiny is the 19th century doctrine that is/was the destiny of Anglo-Saxon nations to dominate the entire world through cultural imperialism.
Now, in that cultural imperialism, they also dominate economics, religion, education, by force, especially where?
In the United States.
Now, is that true?
Yes.
That it was their manifest destiny?
No.
Was it their manifest destiny? That's why I want us to shift our thinking. It was. Everybody's quiet, like, what is this brother talking about? It was their destiny to develop America. Now, not only was it their destiny, we're going to go a little further with it. Matter of fact, I want to do that now. Read the top. Listen to this.
The term manifest destiny originated in the 1840s. It expressed the belief that it was Anglo-Saxon Americans' providential.
That's the number 3 term. Read.
To expand their civilization.
Civilization, because why? There's no civilized people here. So, hey, this land needs to be civilized. Continue.
And institutions.
Go ahead.
Across the breadth of North America.
Keep going.
This expansion would involve not merely territorial aggrandizement, but the progress of liberty and individual economic opportunity as well.
For who? Not for the uncivilized people. So this whole philosophy, which was born out of the Enlightenment period, we're not going to get into that today, but this is the key that I want us to focus on. So we have Terra nullius. This land is empty. It needs to be occupied. Hey, we can come in and do what we want. We have all of the tools, the human and material resources we need to build what we want. And why? Because it's our manifest destiny. What does that mean? That means it's providential. What does providential mean? Read.
Root word providence.
Okay.
It is the protective care of God.
Wait a minute now. Here's where y'all have a problem with what I'm saying. It was the what?
The protective care of God, or of nature as a spiritual power.
Who in here know where I'm going with this? Y'all feel me? So when you look upon how they move and you're wondering, well, man, they just do whatever they want. Of course they do.
Right.
Because God said you can do it.
Right.
And we don't have nothing to say about it.
Judge my people.
Just wrap your mind around. I'm going somewhere with this. Read.
The second definition says that one's fate, their destiny, their nemesis, kismet, God's will, divine intervention, predestination, predetermination, the stars.
Now wait, pay attention to that now, the stars. Go ahead.
One's lot in life.
Okay, so I'm gonna move forward. All right, we got some synonyms here for providence. So these people who arrived upon the shores of this land and around the world said, hey, we can civilize anybody we want because it's God's will. Right. Is it? Was it? Something to think about. Read.
It was.
You said imagination? God of their imagination. I feel you. And I've done this presentation a couple of times, not this exact one, but I've had these conversations, and I know it's not an easy thing to wrap your mind around, but just walk with me a little bit and we can have some discussion about it. Let's go.
It was, O'Sullivan claimed, our quote-unquote manifest destiny to overspread the continent allotted by providence for the free development of our yearly multiplying millions.
Oh, we're going to produce. We're going to spread around the world. And guess what? It's protected by God, and it's our manifest destiny. Read.
By the end of the century, expansionists were employing quasi-Darwinist reasoning to argue that because its Anglo-Saxon heritage made America supremely fit.
Now, this is where the danger comes in for those who are at the helm of this manifest destiny. Because when they made the issue about race, hatred, Darwinism, survival of the fittest, they began to alter the paradigm. And that's where controversy came in. Okay? Drop down, next sentence. It becomes the nation's manifest.
It became the nation's manifest destiny to extend its influence beyond its continental boundaries into the Pacific and Caribbean basin.
So not only America, now we moved from the east where we settled at, and we're going west. Once we get to California or go to Hawaii, we're going to keep going.
Right.
We're not going to stop.
Everywhere.
Everywhere is going to be under our manifest destiny. All right? Read on.
What is influence? Influence is an ethereal fluid.
You know what? Pause for a second. I'll make this available for the sake of time. Let's pass this point. Let's keep going. Read.
Manifest destiny, the intangible of American history. American history was built on a chronological record of significant events, each event having a cause and subsequent effect on another
event. So they continue to build upon this concept, line upon line, precept upon precept. All right, but I'm going to take a moment here to backtrack a little bit. When the Enlightenment period was over, And one thing a lot of scholars don't necessarily delve into, and I'm not going to make the subject about it, but the Enlightenment period was a lot more than just the beef with the church. Okay? The great, brilliant idea that was sparked by the ecclesiastical intellects of Europe at the time was, wait a minute, these children of Israel, they're supposed to go into captivity. Once they go into captivity, we can do whatever we want. We'll have an opportunity to build the type of world we want because it's prophetically written. All right? Read the red part. Go ahead.
Manifest destiny, on the other hand, is a phenomenon.
It's a phenomenon, right? Read the last sentence in its simplest form.
In its simplest form, manifest destiny can be defined as a movement.
A movement. Go ahead.
More specifically, it would be the systematic body of concepts and beliefs that powered American life and American
culture. So every time there's something that, as a people, we have to confront today, it's not done by happenstance. America is not broken. The educational system in America is not broke. The political system is not broke. The economic system, nothing is wrong. Everything is going according to the way they engineered it. But it's hard for us to wrap our mind around it if we're still married to that idea. And that's where we have our problems.
Right.
Because we don't want to divorce the idea, we want to fix it. You can't fix it.
Right.
And they know it, that's why. This is what we do. And hey, the boys are not educated, boys can't read, so what? That's right.
They're not supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be.
Right. Uncivilized people.
You're not even supposed to be with them. You're supposed to die.
Right.
Now, again, this is where the conflict comes in. Was that supposed to happen? Can we be angry at those people? No. I say no. When we really tell ourselves the truth and say, you know what? Not just because it's not our system, but we can't be mad at them because they manifest destiny. What are you talking about? They have a right to do these things. I didn't say it. Read.
The right, quote, the right of our manifest destiny to overspread and to possess the whole of the continent.
The whole of, now they done went from, now they just start talking about America now.
Take this everywhere.
Okay, keep going.
Which Providence has given us.
Providence gave us this. God is protecting us as we go in and plunder Africa. We're going to go in and set up Nestle shops and pollute the water, and guess what? Can't nobody stop us. And that's like, nobody stop us. So we sitting over here in America like, stressed out. We just can't, our people can't come together. We can't be unified. Oh, it's not working. I got a degree. That's not helping. And as a people, we still beating ourselves against the head because we haven't figured out the key to the problem. The first part, like if you're alcoholic, if you have problem with alcohol, say, hey man, I got you. But we don't want to do that because we overcompensate for our inferiority complex as a people. We've been beat down for so long and we know we have a great past and history and potential, but we overcompensate with these pseudo arrogant, pompous positions as a people. Come on, man. We do. Right. It's just straight ego, no substance. Having a form of godliness but denying power. And we say, it's true. And until we are able to acknowledge and wrap our mind around certain concepts, we won't be able to correct it. Read on.
For the great experiment of liberty and federation. That word. Development of self-government entrusted to us.
And who?
Entrusted to us.
Who entrusted it to? I mean, somebody I want somebody to just burn it out eventually. Because y'all should see where I'm going. Their manifest destiny and their plundering of the continent was entrusted to them. Who gave them the right to do that? It's obvious. I mean, come on. Read.
Reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verses 22 and 23. But Israel, if you will not hearken unto me,
drop down to the red part.
I will appoint terror over you.
That's in the presentation right there. Hold on. This is not a sock. God, will appoint terror over you. I got the right to terrorize you. Your God told me to do this. Why? See, now the responsibility starts to shift. You can't blame Mr. Henry. You can't blame Mr. Billy. You can't blame Billy. Nobody. Blame yourself. You put yourself in this predicament. You disobeyed God. is not. And what it should do is it should make us more responsible. And not just keep saying, oh, the system's not working, they're going for the teachers, and well, my kids, and I can't get no job. You're not supposed to get a job. Really? No, I understand. We got to do to survive. I understand everything takes time. There's processes. But the time clock, the prophetic reality time clock is not waiting on any of us. This reality will manifest. God's kingdom will come whether we hear in it or not. But what we have to understand if we want to survive is that we have to, let me relook at this. Wait a minute. Okay, we went into captivity, into this terrible place as a result of our disobedience. And not only did we arrive here as a result of our disobedience, we remain here as a result of our disobedience. Right. Keep going.
I will set my face against you, and you shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you.
Now, the Europeans didn't make that up. They didn't sit at the table and say, y'all, let's make a deal. No.
Right.
Y'all say, I'm going to find the worst people to appoint over you.
Pull them out of the cave.
And when they found it in them books, hey, come see this, y'all. Look. The children of Israel, they got to go into captivity and we can rule. So guess what? That's our destiny. Let's come up out of these hills and caves of Europe and let's do this. Because we got divine power behind us. And y'all say, you know what you do? They forfeited their contract. They forfeited their right. They don't want to be my people. Handle your business. I'm still in control, but handle your business. I'm going to say this scratching. Why are we going through this? You forgot to read. I didn't want to put the word in this video. That's obvious. We all know Deuteronomy.
Go that up and down.
Now, here's the key. Read.
And if you will not be reformed.
Reformed. That's the other vocabulary word.
Which means civilized by me, by these things, but walk contrary to me, I will punish you yet 7 more times.
7 more times. So not only am I going to appoint somebody that reign over you that hates you, I'm going to punish you even more. Because you just refuse to get right, Israel.
You don't change.
You don't want to change. So, hey, let him do what you... You remember the old situation? Well, boy, you don't want to do what I say do, get out my house.
Right.
Once you get out your house, the police going to get a hold of you. And when they do to you what they going to do to you, you can't come crying to me. Right. Now, when you get your act together, you come back and live under my roof. That's the same situation with us. Let's keep going. I'm almost done.
But if from then you shall seek Yahweh, you shall find him. If you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, when you are in tribulation and all these things are come upon thee, the curses, even in the last days, if you turn to Yahweh and be obedient to his voice. For Yahweh is merciful, he will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your ancestors.
Now, if we are still, as a people, as a community, as a family, as individuals, dealing with the curses, right? Then there's something in this equation here that we're just not getting. It's that obedience to his voice. Now, again, we Israel. So that means now, whatever his voice said we should or shouldn't be doing, now we got to go argue about that.
Literally.
Stop. You got to keep Shabbat on Friday. You got to keep Shabbat on Saturday. That brother there, he ain't a teacher. Y'all ain't supposed to wear y'all Hebrew clothes like that. You know,
too long.
So now we missed the point. Now don't get me wrong. I understand we need leadership. All right, and that's why all of us are so important and significant. But we have to remember that all of these things that I just pointed out is the result of our disobedience, not theirs. Okay? Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Read the last paragraph. Yes.
That then Yahweh will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where Yah will gather you, and from thence he will fetch you.
All right, keep going.
And Yahweh will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, Israel, and you shall possess it. And he will do you good and multiply you above your fathers. And Yah will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love him with all of your heart and with all of your soul, that you may live.
Now, this is the part in the contract that they don't want you to know. Read.
And your Yahweh will put all these curses upon your enemies and on them that hate you, who persecute you.
So, that's in the context. So, the enemy is looking at this and said, okay, well, in our manifest destiny, we have to now put measures in place to keep them from returning. That's where the social engineering and the acculturation and all those other preventative measures come in. Analyze you and social media and all these things that they put in place because they don't want the curses to come upon them. But let's go a little further about this. Okay, hold on. Let me go. For the sake of time. Go ahead, start here. No, wait, hold up, yeah. All right, go read.
The redemptive struggle is for the minds of men to save humanity from the deadly mind or form of knowledge that has brought them to the brink of extinction. The inspired prophets of Israel refer to this epoch of time as the quote-unquote times of the Gentiles.
Brothers mentioned about that earlier, right? It's time of the Gentiles. And this is another thing, and I couldn't put all of the information in the presentation, but within the context of what we call the time of the Gentiles or the time of the other nations or the time of the Euro-Gentile world power, they have formulated doctrines. They formulated Magna Carta, which is another vocabulary we're going to get in a second. They put together entire scripts, legal codes, canonical law. I mean, all of these different aspects to maintain their time period. So within the context of putting together these things to maintain their rulership, it also simultaneously cancels us out of the equation altogether. That's why we would consider beasts of the field. We're not even the Negroes. They don't even want to consider us Africans. They totally wrote us off the page. We're too, I mentioned, dead. So it's a challenge now. There's so much to undo. It's a challenge. Read on.
It predicates the rise of an anti-Yah civilization, and it is defined as the unhindered proliferation of a mode of thinking, knowledge, and behavior that abominates and desolates.
So we have went beyond expectation with our presentation, conversations, studying. We read volumes and volumes of books. We have great orators. But when it comes to the way our people think, process information, that's why I appreciate a lot of the presentations today, because it dealt with our minds. You know, it was very heavy information because it calls us to think. That's right. It forces us to think. That's what the brother's talking about. If you don't even know what he's talking about, it makes you wonder, what is he talking about? All right? So it makes you want to pursue knowledge because I can't really process these deep like that. And I don't know nothing. He's calling us out.
What did he say? Tell Dan.
He used the word I never heard of.
Who's that?
You understand? Gnosticism. What is that? What is Gnosticism? This brother, I counted. This brother used 8 long words in one sentence. I didn't know what he was saying. I'm not going to scholar like that. I ain't going to. Of the nation of the what is
Indigenification.
What? I thought you was bad. But no, seriously, we have to correct the way we think, which translates into something that we don't want to address. And that's our behavior. We have nasty habits and things about us that we just really don't care to deal with. You understand? And that's where the solution lies. And us addressing, like I said, ourselves. We can't look, when we look at the problems of the world, we can no longer see a white face. You gotta look at yourself. I'm the reason this is the way it's going.
It won't change until I change.
Exactly. When you hear the name Henry Kissinger as an individual is responsible, literally responsible. He made one phone call that killed millions of people. One man. Y'all not feeling that? How many men we got in this building? How many of us make a phone call and save 1 million lives? Come on now. But see, if we don't understand the dynamics of those realities, then we won't put ourselves in position to be able to affect that kind of change. Henry Kissinger weaseled his way into the strategic position of Secretary of State. He weaseled his way into that position, made some deals, and was responsible for the killing of millions of people by making a phone call. One man. So don't tell me 1 man, 2 brothers, 3 sisters, 4 brothers, can't make a difference. If we were activated the way we were supposed to, this one room alone should be able to change the world in 1 week. Now, that's a lot to say, Asaf. You're just talking. No, I just gave you an example of what we've done to save the world just using the Shabbat. Y'all follow what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, let's continue on. Read the, no. Let's move on. Go ahead.
In contrast, the inspired prophets of Israel forecast the establishing of the kingdom of Yah, the breaking forth from Jerusalem, a new mode of thinking, knowledge, and behavior that would challenge the existing world system.
Now, the brother said, refuting. Yeah. We're going to bring evidence, not just, I'm going to have a good conversation, you challenge what you said, cut out what you said, prove that you're wrong. What I'm doing will undo what you're doing. Yeah, right. You killing out people with KFC, I'm going to open up another vegan restaurant. Yeah, and it's just an example, but y'all understand what I'm saying. You got to create the alternative. Before it's over, I'm going to give 3 things that we can do to activate the judgment and speed. That's another thing. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all around. When we see the state of affairs in America in particular, in the world in general, and we look at it like, man, you got to remember that a lot of us have and still are praying for that. You can't pray for the destruction of one civilization and then be upset when its destruction affects you. How we pray for the destruction of Satan's kingdom, and when that destruction affects us, we upset. Dang it, when you pray for the downfall of America, so now when the dollar crash, we can pay it. Where's the institution? We can pay it. I don't like the politics in America going down. When Trump become president, don't be mad. Right. You feel me? We have to recalibrate how we thinking about these things. All right? Read.
Reading from a book called Chosen People from the Caucasus by Michael Bradley.
It's a good book.
He said, African Americans must forsake the white man's social structures, concepts of justice, and yes, even his religion, and return as far as possible to genuine African values and identity insofar that we can actually recover and reconstruct them.
Okay, read on.
I make this plea, not only for you who are black, but for myself and my son and other people who are white.
The parenthetical is not me. I didn't add that.
Yeah. All non-whites must strive to create some cultural alternative to the Western world's culture of violence.
That's where we are lacking. That's right. When each of us go home every night, or when we arrive in our home and we get ready to lay down and take that wonderful sleep before we get up the next day and go to work, school, or whatever, we should be able to recount in our mind and answer a question. What have I done today personally to advance y'all's interests on earth?
Come on,
you should be able to answer the question before you go to sleep at night. What have I personally done to advance y'all's interests on earth? If the answer is, oh, I had a conversation, something wrong.
Right.
You follow me? Read on. And I'm not trying to beat up on us. Believe that. It's not about beating up on us. Read on. On the top.
Thus saith Yah, because the enemy has said, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession.
Through this manifest destiny, we've taken over everywhere. And he done it. They say, we rule everything. They can't get into nothing. All of the high places are locked, they secure. You know, all those sacred spaces on the planet are the most secure places on the planet.
That's right.
Read on.
Neither will I cause men to hear in you the shame of the heathens anymore.
Okay, so y'all said at a certain point in your development, other men won't hear a shame in our people. Our people have been ashamed. Africans don't want to relate to African Americans, so-called Africans, so-called African Americans. They don't want to associate with us. We shiesty, shifty, get over, lazy, dangerous. I mean, so read on.
Neither shall you hear the reproach of the people anymore. Neither shall you cause your nations to.
Who shall who?
Neither shall you hear the reproach of those people anymore. Neither shall you cause your nations to fall anymore.
This is Ezekiel. Y'all's talking to his people. He said, you're the reason other nations are falling. point, I'm going to change it, and you won't cause your nation to suffer. Y'all feeling me?
Yes.
Really? Continue.
James M. Whitfield in 1854 said, "I believe it to be the destiny of the Negro to develop a higher order of civilization than the world has yet seen."
Keep going.
Alexis de Tocqueville, in his classic book, Democracy in America, said, "The most formidable evil threatening the future of the United States
And manifest destiny.
is the presence of the blacks on their soil."
Okay, now if he's talking about the blacks on their soil, he's not talking about the blacks that already live in Africa. He's talking about us, those in the diaspora. Read on.
Culture is the vehicle through which our ideals are conveyed. It is a very broad and complex subject, not a narrow zone to be traversed with relative ease.
Now, let me stop here for a second because we got to talk about this culture thing. All right. When you hear the word culture, let me ask you, brother, in the back right here. When you hear the word culture, what comes to mind? First word that comes to mind, culture. Huh? A who? Say it again.
Like
A people. Right?
culture,
Yes.
the matrix, opposite of the matrix.
Guys, what about you, brother?
Customs, traditions.
Customs and traditions? Yes, ma'am.
A psychological, emotional set of traditions and mindsets, behavioral systems
Absolutely.
that defines a
For real.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
Agriculture. You have something, brother? Oh, yes, sir. All right? But the truth is, everybody's correct. There's no wrong answer because it's a complex subject. But now, let's delve into some basic things. Now, many of us in this room, if not all of us, have found our way into the presence of the culture of the Hebrews, right? We found our way into relating to the Torah or the Bible. We are on that path. If we are to succeed at this and work together, at some point, this dynamic of culture has to be the forefront conversation.
Right.
Not the debates. I mean, when you're dealing with culture, naturally you're going to have some differences, right? And it all comes back to the source, which I think all of the scholars attempted to do, pointing us in the direction of some original content, right? Because when we study our history, we can see what we did that worked for us and what we did that didn't work for us. And putting everything in context, there were some things that worked for us post-exile, pre-exile, in the land, out of the land.
Right.
You understand? You can't just take everything and say, this is what we're going to do.
That's right. That's right.
You follow me?
That's right.
So one of the primary things that we have to begin to look at is, like Anya mentioned, is redemption. And we just read very traditionally what redemption was. But we have to look at those cultural elements that will redeem us or give us life. Those cultural elements cannot in any way reflect the supporting of or the perpetuation of the antithesis of Hebrew culture. That makes sense. Meaning, we can't support capitalism. Now, understand, we in a capitalistic society, so we have to interface with capitalism. But we have to interface with that dynamic and transition to the Hebraic idea of monetary exchange. Now, follow what I'm saying? These are the very things that we have to begin to do in order to undo the problem. The other conversations is just conversations. Because until we start talking about how we all in this room are going to eat tonight, that should be a deep conversation. You know what? I'm buying dinner for everybody tonight. Let's talk. What are we going to eat? Maybe next time. Hypothetically speaking.
You better put that out there first next time, you know?
I forgot I'm talking to some Israelites.
Right. They're going to hold you to it.
Oh,
It's better not to make them out.
don't play with that. They'll be holding me the scriptures.
Right.
You bound to buy us some food. Y'all don't please
Go to Leviticus.
Go for real. Okay, we family. Hypothetically speaking, I'm gonna buy dinner for everybody tonight. What would that conversation look like? I don't eat that. I want some chicken. I want some beef. Nah, man, I'm vegetarian. I want some fish. We can't eat that fish. I want crawfish. I'm from New Orleans. Imagine what the conversation would be like. That's what we need to talk about. Let me tell you why. When we can have the conversation of what we're going to eat for dinner tonight, now we know what kind of grocery store this brother needs to open. Now we know what kind of sweet shop this sister needs to make. Now we know what kind of bakery we need to have. The institutions will be a byproduct of our needs and our culture. But if everybody is eating anything at any time, any way, spending their money anywhere, then that's an issue that affects us long term in many ways. Economically, it affects us socially. We can't all go to the same restaurants and enjoy each other's company. I can't come to your house for dinner, bro. I don't eat what you eat. You understand? It has a long, far-reaching ramifications. The institutions can't come forward as a collective because we're not on the same page with our culture. The brother mentioned agriculture. What kind of food are we going to grow? Are we going to clear a whole 2 acres of land to raise chickens? Or are we going to clear 2 acres of land to grow tomatoes? We got a whole other debate, but those are the conversations we need to have. You understand? All right. Let's go on. Start with the red part.
When one understands the limitless space that it covers, culture is really just another word for world.
Okay. Whoa, what happened? All right. Now, I want to take some time and then I'm going to move forward because I really want to close out, have a little discussion, questions and answers. I'm going to close out in a few minutes, I promise. But I wanted us to take a look at this man here. He was, and to a large degree, one of the most influential figures, characters in the Roman church history. Okay? He was used, but at the same time, he knew what he was doing. Joseph Ratzinger used him, worked with him. It was a succession. It's not, the Pope just doesn't happen. They're not just electing people at random. This is a strategic manipulation of the order of the church. Okay? So Pope John Paul was a very key figure in the church, and he still is. Read what he said. Listen to this carefully.
Willing or not, ready or not, we are all involved in a no-holds-barred global competition.
Global competition. Read.
Most of us are not competitors. However, we are the state.
Now, he's the Pope. So when he says most of us are not competitors, he ain't talking about himself. He's talking about you. Most of you are not competitors. You're not even on a global stage. We don't even see you. You are the state. You are what we're fighting about. Okay, read on.
For the competition is about who will establish the first one world system of government that has ever existed in the society of nations.
Yeah. Read. Now, wait. The brother mentioned, he asked a question about the captivities. Historically speaking, as far back as we can go, dealing with Hebraic reality, every world power has only been a world power when they subjugated who? Us. So if they're at war about who's going to develop the first one world government system, who do you think they're looking to rule over? Come on now. So that's significant. And they're saying, hey, you're not even in this global competition. You don't even have no say. Read.
You watch Love and Hip Hop. It is about who will hold
I didn't get that.
and wield the power of authority and control over each of us as individuals and over all of us as a community. Over the entire 6 billion people on Earth.
Now, 2 points I would extract from here. One, I'm going to focus on the 6 billion people. We have 7 billion now. 7.23 billion. Do you know how insignificant a person is in a population of 7 billion people if you have no power? That means if for whatever reason a spaceship, I'm not going to use other examples, but if a spaceship came and took you off of this planet tonight, what would stop? What would stop? I guarantee you if the current Secretary of State came up missing, a lot would stop and change. You understand? If the governor of Georgia came up missing, some things would be affected. The question is, how are we the chosen seed of the Most High, the most powerful people on planet Earth? And if something was to happen to any of us, nothing would stop. It's a question we need to ask ourselves. Read.
We are now standing in the face of the greatest historical confrontation that humanity has gone through. A test of 2,000 years of culture.
Of what culture?
Christian civilization.
Christian civilization. Who's challenging them? This brother. All of us are challenging that. Yes. But to what degree? That's for us to Christian civilization.
That defeated the competition.
Exactly. Christianity beat everyone they came up against except the Hebrews. We didn't have a fair fight yet. You understand? But this information is supposed to inspire us to be able to confront this. Read on.
With all of its consequences for human dignity, individual rights, and the rights of nations, wide circles of American society and wide circles of the Christian community do not realize this fully.
All right, let's read the top paragraph.
You know that from the beginning of my pontificate, I have insisted on the crucial significance of the links between the church and culture.
So the Pope actually said he's emphasized to all of those who are under him, there must be very, very strong bonds and ties between the concept of the church and the culture people live. Read.
I recall, quote, a faith that does not become culture is not fully accepted.
It's not fully accepted.
Not entirely thought out.
Not entirely thought out.
And not faithfully lived.
So if you want to know why we're not faithfully living anything, because we haven't implemented with the dynamics of our culture. That's everything. Okay. Let's let me go a little further. Read this.
Almost if according to some natural law, in every century there seems to emerge a social system with the power, the will, and the intellectual and moral impetus to shape the entire international system.
What international system?
The entire international system in accordance with its own values.
Could that apply to us? Yeah. Yes, it could. Read on.
There is a good reason for suggesting that the modern age has ended. Many things indicate that we are going through a transition period. Where it seems that something is on the way out and something else is painfully being born. It is as if something were crumbling, decaying, and exhausting itself, while something else indistinct is rising from the rubble.
Come on now. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Okay, I'm going to fast forward past some of this stuff here. It's funny how a lot of us have some of the same information. Spirit is perfect. Read what Dr. Lane Marble said.
The education of the African American would have to contain a vision consistent with our heritage and experience.
Okay, so based on our heritage and experience, as a people, we need to come to a point where we understand what our vision is. Where there's no vision, the people perish. Here's the part that we leave out of that. Where there's no visionary, the vision perishes. Somebody has to have the vision. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what is my vision? What is my vision within the context of the whole? Because if I don't bring forth a vision to share, the people are going to continue to perish. All right, read. One component of that
vision would have to be the specific rise and empowerment of our people.
And I'm going to close with this point right here at the top. Read.
A civilization is any complex society characterized by urban development, symbolic communication forms,
that's what the brother was talking about,
and a perceived separation and domination over the natural environment by a cultural elite.
Continue.
Civilizations are intimately associated with and often further defined by social, political, economic characteristics.
All right. And then it goes on to talk about the different ideologies and everything that it entails. So the last thought that I want to leave us with, my time has been cut a little shorter, but the last thought I want to leave us with is there are two ways that each of us can make a direct impact into what's going on in the world today. Number one, find an existing institution that has our redemptive purpose or will affect us redemptively to participate in and work with it in its expansion. The second thing that each of us can do is we can build an institution that does not yet exist and make it grow and expand. And those are two basic things that we can do when we want to approach how we can contribute to this greater cause. But I want us to really consider those concepts that the Europeans used. It was their manifest destiny simply because God gave them the right to do so based on our vision. So that's All right, ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to let you guys know a lot of the concepts I shared came out of my book, Israel History and Destiny. This is the second print. I have a more extensive version of this. You can get it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any of the books to bring here with me, but you can visit the website. The website is www.historyanddestiny.com. You can go on the website and order your copy, or if you connect it with any of the brothers, I will make it available for the brothers to have for you to take it from them. All right?
Hallelujah.
Can you get this copy? I don't even want that copy, but no, that's a display copy. This is first edition. But you can go to historyanddestiny.com. There's two versions. There's a more extensive scholarly edition. It's 8.5 by 11. This is 6 by 9 with no pictures. The other one has pictures and other excerpts that you can have in there. We're also going to be launching a major promotional campaign where once you purchase the book, you can be registered for a free trip to Israel.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm working on with the brothers, I told them myself I want to help the congregation work on organizing a trip to the Holy Land. Sometime mid to late summer, possibly around the holidays, but we're going to have more information for a company.
Yeah.
So,
Hallelujah.
Hey, I would like to thank all the presenters today. We started early, about 10 o'clock, about 2 hours over. And this last presentation, which I would do about 200 slides, maybe another extra 2 hours. But I guess I probably shouldn't do that. So I'd like to thank all you guys. Like I said, we're a couple of hours over, and I know it's getting late, we're getting tired and all that. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pray, have you guys stand so you can go ahead and stretch. And then we're going to go ahead and dismiss everybody. Those that are a member of the congregation, you've been immersed, or you've been with us for a while, we ask you guys to stay around a little bit longer so we can kind of clean the place up and all that. Okay. And I promise the prayer won't be long. Are we ready?
Yes.
Y'all, thank you. Hallelujah. All right. That's it. That's it. Yeah, you can.
Announcement.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. You should.
Pardon me. If I can get everyone's attention just for a second. So Shamrei HaTorah is having a fundraiser tomorrow. There's a fish fry. At your house. I don't know your address, so it'd be nice to be here. But we're hosting this fundraiser for the purpose of building funds. We're about to move into a building where some of the Morris brothers are here in Atlanta as well. So we're teaming up with the Morris brothers to bring a lot of things under one building, trying to bring things under one roof so we can get a lot of things going for our community. Of course, we have close relationships with congregations in Atlanta as well. So we're doing some good things, man. So I'm going to let her tell you guys where to go if you want to go.
Shalom, everyone. My name is Madaya, or some people call me Akua. But tomorrow we're having a fish fry at my house. The address is 4435 Old Fairburn Road. It's off of Kent Creek Parkway. My number, if you want to take it and for further information on our elections. Or you can find me on Facebook under Madaya or Akua Sunyo. But my number is 678-973-6478.
Okay, what's the address?
4435 Old OLD Fairburn Road, and then Georgia 30349. And it's from 2 to 6. Yeah. Oh, and we'll also have vegan plates as well. We'll have like a vegan fish. So those who don't eat fish can have something as well.
And most of you who are my Facebook friends, the flyer I just posted on my Facebook page. So the singer. Alright?
Is it just showing
So slow and
Feel free to continue the fellowship. We're gonna play some music. If you want to help clean up,
that would be nice.
If not, you know, we still love you anyway. But I'm glad y'all came out.
So how was yours?
And if anybody wants to give a donation, you can come to the front. It's a little too late now, but if there's any donations, they're in the front.
Hey, Brian, Sybil said announce her people to pick up their dishes. I already had my donation.
Attention everyone, if you brought any dishes, you can pick them up in the back on your way out, so please don't forget your dishes that you brought in.
Okay.
All right, I know everybody's getting ready to leave, but I just want to say one thing real quick. I get everybody's attention real quick. Drums, real quick, everybody, real quick. All right, so being that this is the first RBG Hebrews event coming out event, I would like to know if everybody would like to take a group picture real quick so we can put it on Facebook.
Yes.
So if you don't want to get a group picture, to show unity and everything like that, we can take it real quick. It's not going to take long. Just get around to the front. Should be a few minutes of your time. We want to take a big group picture so we can put it on Facebook. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. So
You want me to move this so it doesn't get knocked down?
All right. Thank you. You can put it on. All right, everybody, just come up, line up in the
Watch out,
front.
Miss Joanne.
What's mine?
Watch foot.
All right, everybody, come on, everybody. It's not gonna take long. Everybody, come to the front. Come to the front. You got a wide angle lens. You got a wide angle lens. So you gotta go probably from the back. All right, come on, everybody. Everybody, let's go. Let's go. It's not gonna take long. Come on. Come on, everybody. Short people in the front. That's me. The rest of y'all in the back. Come on, y'all. Everybody can fit up here. Speakers should be in the front. All right, come on, y'all. Come on. We're almost done.
All right, everybody, okay. All right, y'all, you want to get a picture? Everybody? Okay, RBG Hebrews, 1, 2, 3. RBG Hebrews! Okay, one picture.
No flash.
All right, so when you ready.
I'll hold his pen for a minute. Huh? You should have did it. That's last time I'm talking to you, man. Nah, that was excellent, man.
Oh, everything that you were talking about actually.
Yeah, man. You're in Tennessee, though. I said, you're in Tennessee. Tallahassee.
Thank you for coming.
We got to hook up, bro. That's what's up, man.
Yeah. Now, you